Hi,
Facebook land.
Welcome back. Just before we get started, I just want to remind everybody to please share, subscribe, like. It really helps us out a lot. Additionally, please make sure you interact because we are checking the chat. So if you guys have any questions, any input you want to give, please feel free to go ahead and drop that in the chat here on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll do our best to go ahead and respond to you guys. Other than that, I will turn it over to the team to tell everybody what we're talking about, and I'll be right back while I do some back end stuff.
We haven't seen Steve since 2024 hit, so welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome. Hi, Steve. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You are a quick on arrival person, like the beginning of the show. So today we're continuing the conversation about Productivity 101. I don't know how productive we can be because Brooke and Anthony aren't with us this weekend. They are off and doing their thing. And so they truly, truly keep us in line, but we're going to do the best we can. So tell us a little bit more, Jen, about what we are going to talk about today.
So we're talking about sneaky traps that kill your productivity.
Oh, no.
I know.
I envision a mousetrap, a giant mousetrap. No.
What's funny is like that's actually a really well-searched thing. That actual terminology, like killing your productivity, is searched. I thought that was strange.
Is Misha going to find a mousetrap?
Apparently.
She might be.
Apparently. So killing productivity, what does that mean?
I mean, I don't prefer to think of it as killing productivity. But I think
like the shower scene from the Bates Motel.
Yeah, no. I'd rather say squashing your productivity, or
I like setbacks. Setbacks is a good way. Setback your productivity.
Yeah, disrupting your productivity.
Although that could be a good thing, disrupting.
True.
Yeah, that'll actually come up. I think as far as some ways that we can break free from productivity killers, like Lisa mentioned. Break free is a bad thing.
I think Misha dipped. She's like, well, no, Brooke, no, Anthony, I'm out.
No, okay. I don't know what it was. There was a video somewhere on my computer that just started playing, and it was a topic I did not want to be listening to. And I couldn't find how to turn. It was something that somebody had shared with me that I thought, okay, I'll take a look at, just be open-minded. And it was like going. And so that was totally killing my productivity with you.
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh.
I finally found it in a tab that had been minimized. I'm like, why did it even start playing?
Oh, that is funny.
Hi. And yes, we're doing well. How are you with the rain? Who's having rain?
I am.
Rain?
Oh, you are? Oh, okay. Yeah. We had rain a few days ago. Sorry, Steve, I'm a little late to that movie. Yes. All right, back to us. Sorry.
Yeah, so we are going to go ahead and just go over just an accumulated list of some killers, productivity killers, or like we say, setbacks, that we want to just kind of discuss. Maybe they're sneaky to you, maybe they're obvious, but regardless, we kind of just want to go over them. Then maybe give our 2 cents about it and kind of explore with you guys some ways that we can break free from these productivity killers or setbacks.
They can also help you with your clients. I mean, maybe something comes up and it's a conversation. You can even just ask your client, what are some ways in which your productivity gets kind of snafu'd or blocked, right? What are the obstacles to your productivity? So
yeah, absolutely. A lot of these probably will relate to some coaching sessions that you'll have. So let's go with number 1. We have perfectionism, and perfectionism can keep us starting on task because we think we have to be perfect or ready to start. It can also keep us from being efficient and getting things done quickly as well. What are your guys' thoughts?
Never, ever in my life have I been a perfectionist. Sorry. That I adhere to. Yeah, that's a tough one. And a lot of my clients exhibit perfectionism. And so trying to find out, like, I think there's even a word missing in there, can keep us from starting our tasks, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's like, we just don't get started because we feel overwhelmed. There's too much going on. I don't know, there's this big, kind of like coaching, right? People come in and it's like, there's this big, massive puzzle, and we just help them kind of break it down to one puzzle piece at a time. And so I think, oh, look at you. You're good, Jerome. And so the idea of like, when will you ever be ready? Like fully ready? Well, if you have to be perfect, you won't be ready. But you can be ready like that if you decide that it's okay to have a shitty first draft. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay to make mistakes because that's how we learn. I'll pass it on. Who else?
Well, go ahead.
Sorry, I want to actually call out Misha's your email newsletter. You have something, don't you, at the bottom about perfectionism, how you are letting it go, and if there's mistakes, like you're a human being. I saw that and I was like, yes.
What's funny is I think I did that once and I forgot to put it in the multiple times. So I'm going to put it back. Yes.
I thought that was so refreshing. Like I really was like, it almost like felt like you were giving me permission to do the same. And I received that. So
that's very cool. I actually got that from a friend and several friends because sometimes they use their iPhones instead of their email computer. They would say, pardon the brevity as well as typos. This is, I don't hold myself to it. I hope you won't either, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That perfectionism tends to be that overthinking space where it can inhibit you to not follow through. It can stop you from going from one step to the next step because it feels too big. And like Misha said, taking it one, little piece at a time allows for that growth potential to move in that space where they're expanding that capability. There is someone I know a while ago, in fact, several someones, like you were mentioning, that they became very productive, like right by the timeline, the due date. So they wanted to be more productive prior. Seems like a lot of people feel this way. I want to be productive prior, but then they wait the night before and they seem to have the most artistry with what they're doing. But the anxiety that has been building in between the actual product or producing of what it is that they need to finish, that's the piece that we talk about quite a bit, and how they want to change that, how they want to overcome that, and what ways it sabotages their experience.
For me, what's interesting is that I didn't explore my own issue with perfectionism until I started working with a coach. And that really spotlighted it. It drew it to the surface. It was like, oh, there's all this stuff that I am unwilling to do because I'm so concerned about doing it perfectly. And so the practice became, what is good enough? And like allowing stuff to be good enough, and then feeling that discomfort of, but it's not perfect, and then putting it out anyways, doing it anyways. And that, of course, was a process, but it is totally life-changing, because now don't get me wrong, I still have certain things that I have issues with perfectionism, but for the most part, my general life, a lot of stuff I do now is just good enough. And I'm happy with that because that creates consistency, and I value consistency over perfectionism now. So thank you for coaching.
How do you feel when someone calls you out on the imperfection that came out?
I'm not bothered by it, because thank you. It doesn't, because I allow it to not be perfect, it doesn't bother me if it isn't perfect, because I've reduced that as an expectation for myself. And so therefore, if someone notices, it's no big deal. My mom likes to call out grammar. If I say there or right there in a text and I don't use the proper form of there, she doesn't do it all the time, but sometimes she'll do it. And it's like, I don't care. It's fine.
I used to be the grammar police. And it's like, I'm trying. Sorry. And look what I did tonight. And look how gracefully Jerome handled it.
Being a teacher.
Like, I know. It's like, here I was. Perfectionism can keep us, I would say from. And Jerome's like, whoop, take that off. Let me fix it. But yet there was no, like, I wasn't like slamming you saying, oh my gosh, that sucks. Why'd you have the word from missing? It was more like, hey, when I read it, that's the word that comes to me. I didn't even think of it as actually a mistake. I was just thinking it was, anyway. So I have a few quotes that I thought I would just offer. So from Salvador Dali, an artist, have no fear of perfection. You'll never reach it. And then from Sheryl Sandberg, done is better than perfect. And then from Brene Brown, perfectionism is not the same thing as striving for excellent. And it's not about healthy achievement and growth. Perfectionism is a defensive move. It's the belief that if we do things perfectly and look perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. Perfection is not the key to success. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Just like what you were saying, Jen, we have to make mistakes for a few reasons. One, like Jen said in the beginning, it gives other people permission to be who they are and be okay with it. But two, because then we're boring. I think we'd be boring if we were perfect.
Yeah.
Well, think of your coach clients, right? Your coaching clients. If you have vulnerability in a coaching space, that vulnerability translates to them and they trust the process and you probably quicker in that space than they necessarily would have trusted someone else who was not vulnerable in that space.
Absolutely. Hi, Sue. Welcome. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I want to say before we move on, one space where it could be really sneaky, perfectionism, is when you're working with a team, because it can really not just kill your productivity, but the teams. If they're always waiting for a draft or something that you need to turn in to get the, whatever project moved on, and you're trying to perfect it, it's better to just go ahead and give what you got and get the feedback and keep the ball rolling, as opposed to just kind of keeping it on your desk and hoping that whatever you do turn in is perfect, because usually it's not going to be. You might as well get the revision process started. Before,
absolutely. Better done than not.
Yeah. I held on a take-home test, little exam, for like 3 weeks. I kept checking it to see if I could find the mistake, if there were any. I kept checking it. Finally, I had to do the throwing my hands up and go, I can't do this anymore. I just got to send it in. And that's what you're saying. Just send it in. Do your most excellent process and then call it done.
Yep.
I think the challenge is that a lot of people feel like, people who've grown up, obviously, in schools where there were teachers or there were educators or there were parents, and even as adulthood in the world with our bosses, sometimes there's this pressure of, I'm not going to get the grade or I'm not going to keep the job if I make mistakes. And I really believe that there's a huge role that leaders can play in allowing people to make mistakes, because I do think we learn a lot better that way. When we make mistakes, we won't necessarily do something again if we're allowed to make the mistake and fail forward, as opposed to if we're not allowed to make any mistakes and never do anything at all, then we're stuck.
Yeah. I like that.
Let's move
here
on.
We have
sorry. Go ahead.
You already highlighted them, but Steve said, I've heard it said repetition is mother skill. And then you've got here, Sue, I used to be a perfectionist. I found it was stemmed from insecurity and fear of the opinions of others and not self-acceptance. Yeah. Thanks for participating, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Next one we have is busyness. This is, I think we kind of touched on this one last week. So busyness, too many confuse productivity with busyness. Busyness can feel overwhelming, stressful, and can lead to burnout.
But busy people can be busier, Jerome.
Wait, not to be a perfectionist, y'all, but is that how you spell busyness?
It is.
Actually, there are two different ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the Otherwise, we have business.
This is turning into a grammar live now.
You're being perfectionist.
No, it might be. I literally don't know, and I'm looking at it like, oh, I didn't know it was spelled like that.
It threw me off when I was putting it in earlier too.
Yeah, it is.
The
Yeah,
proper way
that.
of inputting.
So it's Jen's turn. I'm not going to address it. The next one is Lisa, I think, and then Jerome, you have to criticize yourself on the floor.
All right, I will.
So
Yeah,
in the business of busyness, we can be busy like no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I can be sitting here in silence and be busy in my head. That space. I have my son-in-law come home now and again, and it looks like I'm looking at the TV when he comes home in the living room. The TV's off, and he'll make fun of that because I am so busy in whatever it is that's going on in that moment. How does that interfere with life, though? How does that interfere with work? How does it take you away from being productive and fulfill the concepts of that perfectionism, where you don't follow through? Where does time management come in? Yeah, all of that plays a part.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, when you're just in the to do mode, and you're not in the be mode, you go from being the human doing to the, from the human being to the human doing. Right. And I think, like I mean, it's true. Busy people know how to be busier. And so it's like, I remember one time being asked, Misha, how do you feel about unstructured time? And literally my whole body, I had like this, almost like a panic.
Like, what?
Yeah, what? Like, I even on my calendars, I don't put anything. So I have a color coordinated calendar because it helps me remember what I'm doing, but it also helps me keep track. Am I having fun? Like, am I taking time for fun? Because I can get very busy and I can forget that there are certain things. So after a whole week, I'll look and go, oh, wow, I didn't have fun at all. Now, I never go back and say, oh, I didn't work at all. It's always there. But the idea was, did I get out in nature this week? Did I have fun this week? But then there are times where there's nothing. And I typically don't I used to put a block saying nothing, relax. Right. And the question was, how do you feel about unstructured time? Like, okay, I don't even have to put that in the calendar. There's nothing there. That means there's nothing there. I get to just kind of figure out something different, but I typically just keep working. So yeah, I think and it can feel overwhelming and stressful if I don't take time out to just kind of like, even just to take a 10-minute walk around the block a few times, just to kind of relax and, drop the woes and foes and worries. And I definitely, I do have a guitar. Go play tonight. I know. Actually, I need to, but I have clients, but I will. See, there's that excuse again. Anyways, that was my take on busyness. Anybody else?
I just want to say this is kind of, we can tie this into, and I'm pretty sure the closer we get to the end of the month, a lot of these live streams are going to kind of coincide with each other. But this, to me, really, it brings to mind like the hustle culture, what we spoke about. What was that, the first live stream we did this month? I think it was, where, people can kind of confuse busyness with being productive. Just because you're busy doesn't necessarily mean that you are being productive. Like, the definition states. It's something that I think, again, it's a toxic thing that we can kind of see online a lot of the times, where, a lot of these influencers are always busy, and they kind of they push forth the idea that their success comes from the fact that they're always busy. And again, we kind of spoke about it in the first live stream. You don't see what's behind the scenes, and you don't see there's, the things that they do to take care of themselves. They don't really push that because it's not necessarily something that's really click worthy. Things like that can be dangerous to kind of align yourself with, as far as, those influencers that you do see online. So.
And you don't see how big their team is that's doing their social media and all of their work.
Right.
Which brings up
they do have a team.
The business side of busyness. A lot of, especially new businesses, new coaches, new whatever, will try and be busy with their website, try to be busy with whatever their promotional items are, be busy. But what they're not doing is talking about their passion, talking about what they're doing and their new business model and how they're reaching out. And they avoid getting up in front of people. And that's the busyness that keeps us from being productive. Side of
Yeah, new coaches can get real busy with work that just.
Oh, did we lose Jen?
She just froze.
I thought she went in thoughtful position.
I know, she was super thoughtful.
She's back. You're back, Jen.
She's super thoughtful.
Think if she can hear us.
Can you hear us, Jen?
You're good, Jen. I think you're good.
Yes?
Your internet flipped for a second.
But speak again.
That was a long one.
Speak again for what you said though about.
I don't even know what I was saying. That was so long. That just blew my brain. Like I don't know. What are we even talking about?
It obviously blew Restream too, because it was like, okay, can't handle it.
Should have put that one in there. Productivity killers is your connectivity to the internet. That
yes,
for sure.
That's the understatement. Mm-hmm.
Well, then we can. Oh, go ahead, Misha. I don't want to skip.
Well, it's interesting because we keep talking about productivity and the things that kill it, and I just feel like it's this idea that we have to be productive that kills it.
Mm.
So I know that's not on our list of 8 or things, but I'm just like this overall idea of like, what is productivity and why do we have to be productive all the time?
Mm-hmm. Right. It's just assumed that we need to, that it's good, that it's desirable. And for some people, that may not be the case. Depending on what season of their life they're in, what's going on, they may need a season of rest. They may need a season of relaxation. I mean, who's to say that everybody needs to be productive all the time?
Unless we redefine productivity.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there can be like, you know, if I'm just sitting on my couch and I'm doing some gentle meditation and I'm not working or I'm not cleaning the house or I'm not calling friends to connect, I could be doing my own physical, emotional productivity, right? Of like regenerating. So I might have to, see, I'm having an aha. I might have to, thank you, coaches. Okay. I'm ready to move on.
Doing the research for these as we go throughout the month, I thought today, I'm like, we should have did hustle culture last because we kind of denounced the fact that you don't always have to be productive in that live stream. And now it feels like we're kind of working our way back. But again, we're just trying to point out some things that might be in this one in particular, some things that might be sneaky if you are trying to get something done.
Yeah. Steve wrote, does anybody really know what time is? I mean, when you put a guitar there, no. When I'm in my music, I lose track of time completely.
This one here actually segues nicely because we are talking about busyness and why that can be so destructive. Next one is not taking breaks. So humans are not made to concentrate for many hours on end. People tend to be able to focus continuously for no more than 3 to 4 hours. So this one kind of, like I said, segues perfectly. It gives you, I feel like, a way to break free from that habit of busyness if that's something that, you are kind of focusing on.
And yet society isn't always great at acknowledging and allowing people to workplaces to have their breaks. I remember when I was in graduate school. Yeah. So I started smoking when I lived in France for a year, and then I smoked for about 7 years. And the jobs that I had, if you were a smoker, it was normal for you to go take your 10-minute break because you're not going to smoke in the office, right? Mm-hmm. But when I quit smoking and I went to go outside, people were like, "Are you smoking again?" I'm like, "No." "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking a break." Yeah. Like, it's my break time. Like, and it was when I had conversations with other people expressed the same thing. Like, they didn't really have an excuse to take a break. Like, we shouldn't have to have an excuse to take a break. So Sue, guilty. I take breaks at work to go do something around else. Yeah.
I used to be like mad at smokers because they would get smoke breaks. I'm like, what do I need to pick up so I get a break? Like, what is wrong with this world?
Yes, absolutely. That's where it led. I let you just kind of explain it. The anger, the rage. No, I'm just kidding.
This makes no sense.
But it's true. I think many people use that time for quiet, especially if you're an introvert and you need to refuel that quiet time. The sad part is that they add the cigarettes to it to do the breathing and exercise.
The other piece of this, I have two facets of my business. I do relationship coaching, but then I also do academic life coaching, and I work with students. And they have noticed when they set their Pomodoro or their Focus to Do app or whatever, this is not like, I'm not making money from mentioning these apps. When they set their timer, they do 25 minutes of work and then take a 5-minute break, whether they stand up, they relax, they go get a glass of water, they go to the bathroom. The next 25 minutes are much more effective, much more efficient in the way they get their homework done. And I've even worked with CEOs, and it's like, oh yeah, we need to change our structure so that we're not on an hour schedule. We have a 50-minute schedule, right? And so they end up implementing a 10-minute, you cannot schedule a meeting during this time. We need to have a break between meetings. And I think if more organizations were to do that, they would actually find more productivity happening in the workplace.
So breaks mean more productivity.
They do.
I blipped on, what's his name? Tesla. What's his name?
Nikolai? Or you're talking about Elon Musk?
Eli, yeah. Okay. As you listen to him go through his companies and the people protesting and how he treats them, I just wonder how productive they are in that space when I feel like they could probably be more productive based on the design you were speaking about, Misha. So when he came in and took over, what was it, Twitter or whatever it's called today? I mean, the articles that were written, I don't know if it's true. I'm just going by off what I've read, that he went in and changed their work play into be serious work. I mean, that environment sounds uncomfortable, let alone not productive. Sounds to me like a killer of productivity versus a builder of productivity.
Yeah, absolutely. My sister works for a company where play is part of the mission. Play is part of the company's vision, and we play a lot, all of us here. And I think that there might be productivity in those companies, but it's not joyful productivity. And in the end, I think you end up having a product. Have you guys ever read the book Como Agua para Chocolate? It's like water for chocolate. No. In English, it's like water for chocolate. So the protagonist is very sad, very
Isn't
emotional.
That a movie? What's his name?
It did become a movie. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so she's very sad. She's very emotional, and she's making this cake, this wedding cake, for her sister's wedding. And everybody eats this cake, and then they're crying for days because their tears fell into it. And what that brings up for me is like what you put into your work impacts other people.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're not joyful, if you're not taking that time to play and self-care, your people that you serve or that you work with or your family are going to feel it. So how do you turn angry productivity or resentful productivity into joyful productivity?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic.
It is. It is. I know sometimes people feel like they're motivated by the extra energy and anger and resent. They think that helps them move forward, but honestly, who wants to do life in that way?
I think that's the difference between short-term success and long-term success, because it's not always about the destination. I mean, the destination really is the journey, and if you can enjoy the journey, that success is going to be much more sustainable for a much longer time. And I will say, in opposition, yes, if you want to get something done in a short amount of time and you do it with anger and ferocity, then sure, you'll probably get it done pretty fast. But if you continue to work like that on all of the tasks that you're dealt, it's probably not going to be a long-term thing that's going to be very healthy for you.
Gonna wear you out.
Not sustainable.
Not sustainable.
Like the cake story of, what is it, water to chocolate, or I don't remember.
Like water for chocolate.
Like water for chocolate.
To say it in Spanish.
I mean, what you're putting out there, how is that getting colored by what your attitude and what your thoughts are? Does it meet your intention? Does it meet to the quality that you have expected from yourself? I think all of that plays a part in it. Anyway, just thinking it through with what you were saying, Misha.
Yeah, Steve, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Mm-hmm.
Time to take a break. Okay. Thanks, Sue.
Back in 5, everybody.
Have a good evening. Shall we
All
go
right.
to the next one?
Okay, what's next?
Yeah. So we've got, next up, this one's a good one. Not saying no. So saying no is essential to prioritizing and focusing on your important tasks and goals. With anything you say yes to, you say no to other things. And
Brooke! Hi, Brooke! Sorry, Jerome.
No, all good. Everything has an opportunity cost. This one's really good.
I didn't even listen to a word you said. I was too
Dang it, Brooke. Brooke. All right. So
disrupted the live.
We'll say it one more time. So
Sneaky trap to killing productivity. Brooke.
I have a friend. This kind of ties into this one.
Yes.
Saying no is essential to prioritizing and focusing on your important tasks and goals. With anything you say yes to, you say no to other things, and vice versa. Everything has an opportunity cost.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's, one of the greatest coaching questions that I absolutely love. Brooke. Okay. I'm trying to verbalize for Brooke. Okay. So one of the greatest coaching questions that I'd ever heard was, when you're saying yes to everyone else, who are you saying no to?
Mm-hmm.
I love that question.
Mm-hmm.
So mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is it costing you?
Right.
What is it costing you?
Yeah.
The concept I've had to learn is, let me ask you what my deadline is. What's my deadline? And I will have to get back to you, because my instant go-to is yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what the abundance of yeses get in the way. That kills productivity.
Yeah, my go-to is I need to think about it. I need to, I need to let that sink in. I need to look at my schedule. I need some time. I know that pause is everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have an exercise for you guys.
Let's go.
All right. Every question I ask, I want you to say no. No matter what I ask.
Okay.
Are you willing? Are you ready?
No.
Good job, Jerome. Okay. I'm really not feeling well. Would you please go upstairs and get my water container for me?
No.
No. Why though?
Lisa was really struggling with that one. Okay. I know you're going out to the store to get yourself some things, but would you also grab me an extra toothbrush?
No, I cannot. I can't even keep a straight face.
No. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Hey, since you're going upstairs, would you please set my alarm for me so that I don't forget in the morning?
That one's easy. No way.
That's really
Yeah. But look how hard that was. Did you feel it in your body?
Yeah.
Right? Because we have care and concern.
Yeah.
And yet, when we say yes to people and it gets in the way of it jeopardizes our well-being, which maybe some of those would and some of those wouldn't, we are saying no. If we say yes and it jeopardizes us, we're actually also still saying no to them.
Yeah.
Because we're also saying no to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to burn out. We're going to deplete.
Yeah. You're self-sacrificing when you overextend yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing, y'all.
Comes down to the concept. Yeah, I know. It's tough for people pleasers, because it really comes down to the concept of like boundaries, and those are sometimes tough to put up when you are a people pleaser.
Yeah.
So not saying no is sometimes a difficult one for me. I can find myself, because I'll say yes throughout the week to plans from family and friends, and then it'll come to the weekend and I'm like, oh goodness, I have to juggle all of this. I totally forgot this was at this time. And it can become a mess sometimes. So it's nice to just, like Jen saying, take that pause, figure out if you can or can't, and muster up
yes,
the courage
Steve.
to say no sometimes. That's the difficult part, is really sometimes people might get their feelings hurt a little bit, but you know what? It's better to hurt someone's feelings than everyone's feelings, because now you can't make anything because you're so cluttered.
Right. Well, and I bring up that exercise because I actually was in a group that did that, and it was actually around consent. But it started off with these little trivial questions, and even those were so hard for people to say no to. So if you have a challenge saying no, you say yes a lot. It's this opportunity to practice with someone saying it and learning to say it in a non-emotionally charged experience, right? To be able to kind of go, yeah, that would actually be out of my way. I can't do that. Thank you for, trusting me or asking me, and I have to say no. And the more we practice that, the better we'll get at it when we are, like Steve said, when we're in more intimate relationships, or close friendships. So yeah. Next.
Okay. Let's go with another one that's similar to not saying no, but this one maybe not as overt. Distractions. Distractions are probably the biggest killer for productivity, especially when it comes to procrastination.
Yeah, Meech is displaying it pretty well. I do
exactly.
declare you get sucked into, I don't know, what is it? Not Twitter. What's the other one?
Facebook, Instagram.
Instagram.
There's like 9 of them.
Sucked into those things, whatever those things are, before you know it, an hour has passed.
Black hole. It's a vortex that just sucks you.
Black hole.
Can be really hard working on, so like that's your job.
That's your job, yeah.
And then you just get sidetracked by this random post that has nothing to do with the task you're doing. And then you're going down a rabbit hole, and you're like, wait, no, can't do this right now.
I get in rabbit holes when we're prepping for the live. Like something else will catch me, and I'm like,
oh my gosh.
You'll get suggested another video that's a completely different topic. And then,
That's why I've told you guys I'll come on live and be with y'all and have a conversation, but I won't do the homework. I won't read anything before we come on, because I've got so many other things that I'm trying to focus on. Like I will just end up going, kind of looking like the background we have, the universe, like I'm going to be out there.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what piece of research it was, but there was something that I loved that I had never heard of about distraction. And he took the word distraction, took off the dis, and it was just traction. So he was showing it as distraction versus traction, and traction is movement towards what you want, movement towards who you want to be, how you want to show up. Distraction is movement away from who you want to be, how you want to show up, what you want. And I was like, oh, that is so simple. Why have I never heard that? That's so good.
Yeah, stop dissing traction.
Yeah. Don't diss traction.
Don't diss your traction.
Yeah, I
know. That's great. I actually really like that a lot. I'm going to have to use that with some of my students. Why are you dissing traction?
I know. That's what I thought too. Like I'm going to take on this concept and share it forward.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I don't know that there's a whole lot more to say about this. I'm just thinking real quickly here. I mean, I will openly admit that my window sometimes is quite a distraction, because I love looking outside and seeing the trees and the blue sky. Well, it's not blue right now, but so I'm not so distracted. But I think there are definitely, so we've talked about like, what are these things? We haven't really talked about, well, how can you work towards not allowing them to trap your productivity or kill your productivity, right? So I think with distractions, for me, it goes back to that setting a timer, and not like an official timer, but like I'll look at the clock and go, okay, it's 4:42. I want to make sure that I spend 20 minutes on such and such. So I am going to mute my phone. I'm going to turn it upside down even, so I don't see text messages or notifications. And I'm going to work for 20 minutes. And then I will, if something does distract me, what I've heard is you can say, oh, I see you. I hear you. Thank you for coming on in. For right now, I'm just letting you know I'm working. And I'm not talking to a person. I'm talking to my own distractions. It's exit stage left, and I'll allow you to come back in just a little bit, and then, get to work again. And you're just trying to distract us, Steve. Okay. And random yard cat. I have had like 3 of them, and they took up some time. Yeah.
Dude.
Yes.
Oh my God.
They're always out here.
For me, it's the hummingbirds and the squirrels that play on the phone line out there.
In the same piece of research, and I looked it up, it's from this book called Hooked, and the author, if you want, Jerome, I don't know if it needs to go in the chat or anything. Anyway, anyone can look it up. It's a book called Hooked. Anyways, the author talks about urge surfing, and I thought this was like really amazing. So when you have that urge to look at your phone, to pick up your phone, you say 10 minutes. If I still want to do it in 10 minutes, I can, but I'm going to surf the urge for 10 minutes. And if you have to put a timer on, whatever, 90% of the time you surf the urge and you stay in your zone, you stay focused. And I was like, I'm going to give that a try.
Are you saying serve or surf?
SURF, like surfing.
Surf
on a wave. Yeah, urge surfing. And now I've heard that concept with food, right? So you have a craving for chocolate or something, and you prolong it, or you surf it, whatever you want to call it. You don't just immediately go and act on it. You actually sit with that urge. And so you can do that with your distractions too, with your phone. I'm going to try it with the phone. I'm going to put a timer. I'll report back to
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to be looking forward to that.
I know with my phone, there's actually a setting you can place. It's D&D, do not disturb, but you can actually just set it to the point where, for us, we use Slack and then obviously Nextiva. Those are the 2 apps that are allowed to come through when I have my D&D set on work. So everything else is shut out unless I want to go check in on different.
I was thinking Dungeons and Dragons, and you're going D&D, do not disturb.
Do not disturb. Yeah. So that's
I don't even play Dungeons and Dragons.
And that helps.
That's good.
That's a running joke in the office, because sometimes someone will forget to take D&D off.
Mm-hmm.
Typically it's me, and I'll say, sorry guys, I didn't take D&D off, and someone puts a little dragon.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's Anthony normally. He puts the dragon. Probably Brooke sometimes.
Do you ever get distracted, Lisa?
Yes.
You've just been so quiet during this conversation. I don't know, maybe you were distracted.
That's the key, right? I was listening, and I was thinking about when I go downstairs. I have to go downstairs to let the dogs out. So when I go downstairs, and sometimes I don't have my phone because there's work attached to the phone as well. My heart goes a little faster because I get worried, and I'm like, okay, and I have to do what you're saying, Jen. I didn't call it surfing.
Person over there.
Yeah, I didn't call it surfing, but I had to ride that moment that I don't need to rush upstairs. I'm not going to be there that long. The dogs are going to be maybe 5 minutes out there. But it's a very much a behavior I haven't kicked. It's a behavior.
My partner, bless her heart, I will come into the office to either put an envelope down or to just send a quick email, and then I'm here, and I'm still here, and I'm still here. So I get distracted into doing more work as opposed to going back out to the, wherever it is, kitchen or living room. So we're learning. I am learning how to separate.
It's true. It's true.
Just drop off the envelope and turn around and walk away.
Well, you get a grandkid, my granddaughter. Will you go put that in my office for me, please?
Yeah, so I don't even look at the office, right? Okay.
Yeah. When she's home, she takes over my office. So that's an easy way to not come back to work. But then it's on my phone. So there you have it.
Or the pups and pets. I know those can be a big one.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I don't have any pets, so.
Yeah, I got a lot.
I got a ton of pets.
I think Sue brought up for me earlier, I'd like my guitar to be a distraction. So I'm going to work on that. I'd like to actually create distractions so that I can diss my traction at work and add traction to my guitar.
I love it.
All right, what's next, Jerome? I think we've distracted enough from the whole topic.
So next up, we have disorganization. Clutter can make you feel overwhelmed and stressed. It can be incredibly distracting and make working and focusing difficult, whether you're conscious about it or not.
Mm-hmm. See, okay, hold on.
This one's tricky because I do know some very disorganized, functional people.
I was going to say, I take a little bit of issue with this because to me, what this is saying is that like I can't do something that I can do. I can work in a disorganized space. I absolutely 1000% can. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
I can too, but it doesn't feel as good.
No.
When I've actually cleaned off my desk, it feels so much better. But y'all don't see my desk, and so it's only me that's seeing it.
Yeah.
It depends on what I'm working on. If I have to have great focus, then I got to have a clear desk. Like if I'm doing bookkeeping and that kind of thing, forget about it. I cannot be in the clutter kinds of things everywhere. That is just not going to happen. But just everyday kinds of things, I can definitely work with the piles around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Brooke would challenge that as well. But I think where it comes into play for me is like with my kitchen. I have to keep my kitchen in motion. If I ever let anything sit and pile up, that is where it gets disastrous. So I just have a routine of like, I always do something. Every time I pass through my kitchen, even if it's one dish, I just do something. Keep it moving, because if it gets too disorganized, there's no coming back. Yeah. It'll be takeout for a week.
Yeah. So again, folks, we're not saying diss your organization, the people you work for. We're saying, you might be disorganized in the sense that, getting certain things. I actually paid an organizer to come help me about a month ago because I didn't have a filing system of where I could put certain papers that were related to work and taxes and those kinds of important things. And then my personal stuff, all my love notes that were all over my office, they were great, but they were all over my desk. And so it's like, where can I put my love notes that I can go back and look at them every once in a while? So I actually hired someone to come in and help me for 5 hours, and it was incredible. Now I know, like literally I have piles on my desk, but they're not the same kind of piles they were. One's a pile of notepads so that when I need to jot down some things, that's right there. And the other is what I'm currently working on. Other than that, everything's in these 3 little file things I have to my left. And anytime I get something, I know there's a personal file box, there's a work file box, and then there's a miscellaneous file box. And it's been so helpful.
So what bring this all back to coaching. We probably have some more points. But the coaching that someone is feeling disorganized. What are the steps? What is it they need? What should they be doing, or where should they be going? Bringing it back to coaching, thinking about that experience. Give some examples there.
Examples of questions we can ask them, or examples of because we don't give advice or resources, right? So Jen.
Well, so I'm thinking back, Lisa, you coached me on something. I think it was for just recording a mentoring call or something, but I had wanted to, revamp my office, and here we sit almost 2 years later, and I still am yet to do it. And here's the thing. I stopped shaming myself over it. I just let it go. And I just decided, you know what, Jen, when it's time, you're going to get a nice office. Until then, just work, honey. Like you're good. Like you can work in chaos. Like this is okay. So for me, it was like not forcing myself to organize, but rather just finding peace among the chaos was really liberating for me. So the opposite of what I originally wanted coaching on. I wanted coaching on what's the block? Why can't I just do what I want to do? And the reality was like, I don't even know. I don't know why. I don't care enough to know. Clearly there's something that I'm not inspired enough right now to change my office. And that's okay. So just being okay with that it's the opposite of driving towards a goal, which is ironic in coaching. But for me, it was like just settling into like, I don't have to have this beautiful office. I can work in any conditions. And I trust that one day I will have a beautiful office, and I'm not going to put pressure on myself of when that time is. And boom, it was like, I moved on, and I've accomplished so many other things since moving past that, which is really interesting. Had I stayed on that, it would have been focusing on something that actually wasn't bringing me any real satisfaction, because the things that I moved on to have really, truly brought me a lot of joy. So,
well, and that's, I think that, yeah, no, I think that's really key, actually, because we ask our clients on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this to you?
Mm-hmm.
right.
Right. And so
Right.
what became important to you was not changing the office, but how
Right.
you felt about the office.
Yeah.
And so it's not always about the topic at hand. Right. And so I think different questions are, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this to you? Or what do you consider being organized? Like, what does that look like to be organized? Or, what does clutter mean to you? And maybe, everybody has different definitions of what clutter is. Somebody comes to my desk and look, they're going to think this is clutter. But I know there's one pile of notebooks, and I know there's one pile of note taking that I'm doing right now, or not during this work thing. But so other people might see that as clutter. So defining for ourselves. So when we take it to coaching, it's like asking the client the questions, leaning in, being curious. What does organization mean to you? What does disorganization mean to you? How do you feel like it's impacting your work? What would be an important shift for you to make? How willing are you to make that shift? What will that do for you? Right? What will happen if you don't make that shift? So that's what I would say.
Another big one for me was tying into what was I making my current state of my office mean about me? And I was making it mean that I'm not worthy of a coaching business, or like all these crazy things. Like, I'm not worthy as an employee. Like, I have to have a nice office or else I'm not good enough. And once I tapped into that, it was like, oh, that's so silly. No, you're worthy. You're good. Like, go on, work in your chaos, girl.
I felt the same, Jen. I'm like, look at all these people with all these cool offices, and I'm like sitting in class, and I'm like, I need to add some more stuff back here.
Most people have screensavers.
Yeah.
And most people have screensavers. They're not real offices either.
Well,
Have that fake.
Except Sam's is real. Sam's, when you ever see Sam and you just go, man, that looks fake, but it's real.
Yeah.
Sam's is nice.
It's lovely. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I can't do lovely work. Like, I just stopped comparing, and I stopped making it mean something that it was just, I was attaching value to the office as my own self-worth. It was figuring that out in a coaching session was powerful.
Well, and honestly, Jen, I think the more simple the background or the coaching experience, the space is for the client, the less distracted they are. That's right. So you may have one of the very best office spaces for coaching. And yes, Steve, that's a great quote. Is the weather bothering you, or are you bothering yourself about the weather?
So good. Yeah.
From Michael Singer. Yeah. Well, should we go to the next one, Durham? What number are we on?
Yeah, we've got a few more that we're not going to get through, but it's okay because some of these overlap. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with one that I think is really important to close us out. So
we trust you.
The last one is lack of sleep. Not sleeping enough is one of the worst things you can do for your productivity. Your brain needs sleep to function properly.
It's true.
Yes. And some people love to say, "Oh, I work better on 4 hours of sleep," and it's like, you need your sleep. It's very important. There's plenty of studies out there that support the fact you need your sleep. Whether it gets you one day or not, it's going to eventually catch up to you.
That, or you'll get dementia, Alzheimer's. I mean, your brain needs that refresh. Your brain needs that sleep. I actually slept for 2 hours before I came on with y'all because I had a procedure this morning and I was exhausted. I'm like, I'm not going to do any work. I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to sleep. And it was so great. So yeah, I think that, and that's honestly probably out of all my clients that I'm working with right now, there may be 2 people that are not talking to me about sleep, working on how to get more sleep. right now.
Yeah.
It definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, it's one of my non-negotiables. It's like, it's just not, when anyone, if I have a friend in town or anything and they want to stay out late, sorry.
Mhm.
It's just, I'm not doing it anymore. I've reached the point where I'm like, I understand what I'm sacrificing. I understand how I'm harming the future me. Right. So it's just a non-negotiable. Sleep is so, so important.
I've never been one to stay out late and do that kind of thing either. It's just not in my nature. Sleep is really important. And right now I don't get good quality sleep often enough, but it is a really important process to being well, to being cared for, to self-care concepts, to being aware of what's happening and why it's happening, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a great way to close us out.
Are we sleepy yet?
Yeah, I could go take a nap now.
Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Oh wait, where is it? Do they press? Is it the like down here? And
Down there
subscribe?
somewhere, you'll find it. Like, subscribe, should be probably up there. Follow us.
Yeah. Watch other videos. Give us, to see what other topics are interesting to you. Spread the word. Let's let everybody get something out of it.
Our classes, if you haven't taken our classes and you're just checking us out, my goodness, call us on the phone, talk to us more, come sign up. 3 days, get certified, go change lives.
If this 1 hour wasn't fun enough, oh my gosh, we got to be 29 hours of fun. plus. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. All right. Thanks, team.
Good and Brooke and Anthony, we missed you guys.
Yeah, we
do. You're having a fantastic time. Thanks for dropping in.
Can't wait to see pictures.
I know.
All right.
Bye,
we will
public.
see you guys next week with more conversation on productivity. You guys have a good rest of the night.
And be productive.